We're live. Hello, my name is Brett Schklar. I'm the CEO of AI First Leadership, as well as the CEO of a fractional CMO organization called Grow Powered. I'm the author of the book that you see right here with you today. And if we haven't met yet, I want to introduce myself and say thank you so much for being here. As a CEO myself, as well as within the last 18 months, speaking with over 1,000 CEOs and their leadership teams, I have learned a ton about the world of AI adoption. And I have learned so much that I decided to put it together into a workshop, into a keynote speaking presentation, and most recently, today, you are here to celebrate the book launch of my book, AI Without the BS, the CEO's Playbook for Actually Getting AI Right. Now, I told you about the people that I've met with, over 1,000 CEOs and their leadership teams, and I talked a little bit about my background. But let me tell you a little bit more about the type of people that I talk to and who I wrote this book for. You see, you might be here because you saw AI in the title and got really excited. And I get excited too, because I like to think of myself as an AI adoption futurist. But there is a gigantic part of the world, a bigger part of the world of CEOs and leaders who are not part of the tech community, who don't think about AI as much as probably a lot of the tech people do. And they are not ready for any of this. And so I wrote this book for them. I wrote AI Without the BS, the CEO's Playbook for Actually Getting AI Right for all of those CEOs who don't have a plan in place. Now, I'm going to dive into a little bit of the book. I'm going to dive in a little bit into my methodology, and you'll get to see a lot of great insights and information that I've shared along the way. But first, if you are interested in this book, guess what? For today and today only, we're actually going to offer it at 70% off. If you go to Amazon and you can choose either the book version, which will be $6.99, or you can choose the Kindle version, which is $4.99. You can choose either one. But there's the URL to go to. It's a bit.ly link. You can also just search for AI Without the BS on the on LinkedIn and find it anyway. But super excited about this. So let's dive into a couple of things. I first want to just go over a little bit of the introduction here so I can set the stage for you. And every chapter has a great quote in it, and every chapter has some great information. Oh, look, somebody said they bought theirs and it's so useful. That's awesome. So let's dive in a little bit. Like you, I'm a CEO who's both excited by, frustrated with, and fearful of AI. Fearful of what it can do for me, just as much as fearful of what it can do to me. After countless conversations with fellow CEOs, and like I said, it's been about over 1,000 so far, I decided to share those experiences in this book. I wanted to show the experiences, the challenges, and put it into something that's very simple, a playbook style book that provides actionable guidance on how to adapt to the AI first world we're all headed towards. Now, a couple of thoughts here before I continue on. I intentionally wrote this book at a 6th grade reading level. Now, you might say, Brett, you're just being a jackass and you're just trying to level down and make fun of CEOs. No, not at all. As a CEO myself, I don't have a lot of time. I don't have a lot of time to read long books. I especially don't have a lot of time to read books about AI, especially when things are changing so often. So I wrote this at that 6th grade reading level, making sure that everybody had access to this. It's a quick read, and it in fact has a lot of a lot of task lists in here for the things that CEOs can do, trying to keep it as simple as possible. So I wrote this as a business playbook, not an IT handbook. In fact, IT is where bigger AI initiatives can go to die. And we can talk about that some other time. This playbook is designed for every CEO, owner, business leader, or leadership team member who's likely not a tech company leader. It's a guide for the rest of us, leaders who can leverage a once in a lifetime innovation that will allow each and every single company in existence to double in growth over the next 18 to 24 months without adding more headcount or overhead. Or it's an innovation that will put you out of business in that same period of time. Got your attention? Good. So I'm not going to go and read everything in here, but a couple of key points. This is not a book that dives deep into LLMs or large language models or goes into technical architectures. This book is not a thought leadership fluff piece, and it's definitely not AI hype recycled for another round of conference buzz. It's none of that BS. And believe me, I know a thing or two about BS. My name is Brett Schklar. This is a playbook, short, direct, and practical for how to AIify your business with the speed, confidence, and clarity. So then we go into the journey that people take. And the only things I really want to dive into at the moment are a couple of the key principles that I share in my talks that actually will drive the conversation further for what we're talking about today. So in my book, I talk about the roadmap, that this is the roadmap. This is the playbook. And these are the 10 steps that I guide CEOs to go through. Now, here's something that you're going to probably find either interesting or absolutely positively not interesting at all. The concepts we're talking about, the concepts that we share here, this is transformation management. My MBA was actually in management of technology from Georgia Tech, and didn't do that to brag, but one of my favorite things was talking about technology transformation. And that's what AI is it's transforming us. Just like the internet did 1,000 years ago, just like mobile computing did about 100 years ago, just like the cloud did about 50 years ago, and like AI is doing in record time, in record ways today. So this no BS roadmap. Number one, it got to set the tone with your company. And this is one of the things where I have the most fun when I sit down and engage with companies and work with their CEOs. They've never set the tone. They've never said, we are going to either dive in deep to AI and go as quick as we can, or we're going to test it in a couple of areas and see what kind of impact it makes, or we're going to sit back on the sidelines, let everybody else try it out, and then we'll get into it at some point in time. But without setting that tone, you're setting the company up for failure, and there's a lot of guesswork involved by your employees. Then number two, build that plan, whatever that plan might be. Number three, build that playground. Give them a safe place that they can make mistakes, that they can try new things out and have fun with it, but don't have it necessarily associate directly with your production environment of LLMs so that they're training bad stuff into their systems. Then you also want to help the organization embrace agility. And by agility here, this is how can you get the employees of the organization working together to really be more agile, test out new things, try them, fail fast, fail often, and then move to the next thing. One of the things that I talk about in, as I go out on my talks, as I do my keynotes, as I do my workshops, is that this is moving so fast, mainly because this is not a top-down initiative. This is not a CEO's mandate until they come and work with me. This is not something that comes from the board of directors, although there's a lot of questions asked. The reality is just about every employee out there is using generative AI in some way, form, or fashion. So bake in that agility. Then leverage the speed of innovation. And my big thought process here is how can you use third parties? How can you use software platforms? How can you use other vendors to do a lot of the AI work so you don't have to? I call it the scrubbing bubbles of AI. Get them to do all the work so you don't have to do it. Then we want to make sure that we align our business and our company values with AI so that our values align within AI as they do within our business and our working day in life. And that really applies to the ethics that we pay attention to within AI. Then I also really strongly suggest that people start training their generative AI models now. Start using them, uploading information, connecting their drives or their cloud storage to AI in certain ways so that it can start being a tool for good or a tool for benefit. Then, the most important thing I think of all of this list, find those generation AI employees now. And in fact, I have an entire chapter where I talk about what a generation AI employee looks like. Then I want you to really focus on training everyone that you want to be able to trust, but also verify everything that generative AI is doing. We're still living in the world of hallucinations, even though that they have reduced quite a bit. We're still living in the world where we're training our models, and so therefore they don't have all the information at their fingertips. So we need to make sure we trust but verify everything that we do within generative AI. And then the last item, have a disaster plan. Now, I don't think that this is going to be heading towards AI domination and AGI, artificial general intelligence, where the machines are as smart as humans, or ASI, artificial super intelligence, anytime soon. If you do go onto YouTube and you start looking to the darkest, deepest depths of things, you will find that there's a lot of people that talk about, timing of bad things happening. But I don't think we're quite at that point, at least not yet. I think having a disaster plan here is knowing everywhere where you're utilizing AI. So when mistakes start to happen, you can step back, you can take a beat, and you can unplug or disconnect certain aspects so that you can rewire and get things working better for you. That's it. That's the no BS roadmap. A lot of the book actually, covers and applies all of this information. But I thought what I'd do right now is just talk to you a little bit about some of the things that I see when I'm out there and I'm talking to the CEOs and the stories that I hear. And I want to give you a couple of examples because I truly feel that most of you that are on this call are probably deeper into AI than the average bear. And I go out and I talk to middle America, right? I go out to Pennsylvania, I go out to California, but the parts that are not Silicon Valley, it's the parts that are, a little bit more manufacturing and operations and retail and consumer packaged goods. And I hear all kinds of stories about AI adoption. One of my favorite, case studies to talk about was I was speaking to a group of about 18 CEOs in somewhere in Pennsylvania about 9 months ago. And I was coming in to be the AI talker for, this session. They get together about once a month. And I remember one of the guys, as I'm starting off my conversation, he says, the most interesting thing I've ever heard somebody say in a business environment. He said, I don't know about all of this generative AI crap. He said, if I ever catch any of my employees using this stuff, the first warning is a big fat red warning. Second time I catch them using this, they're fired. Now, in that environment, it was kind of cool because I didn't have to say anything. All the other people that were in the workshop basically called this person out for ignoring and preventing one of the greatest pieces of innovation, one of the greatest innovative tools to ever come out, since the internet or even before the internet. So the good news is that, I think that type of behavior and mentality is getting fewer and farther between, but there's still a lot of that out there. Another story that I really love to talk about is that one of the CEOs I got to speak with in a workshop, he was actually a trucking company. He owned a trucking company and had about 170 employees, of which I think 145 of them were actually truckers. And I really got interested at like how they might be applying or using generative AI in their environment and their business. And the CEO said, I'm very curious, but I don't think that anybody is using generative AI, in our business or in our work. So I said, do me a favor, send an email out and ask them, not, in a very draconian, hey, are you using AI, kind of mean way, but hey, I met with some guy who was a speaker at our workshop, and he talked about the uses of generative AI, and just curious, who here is using that? 72% of his employees came back and said they've been using it at least on a daily basis. The truckers use it to find places to go and things to see and what's going on as they're on the road. And then one of the most interesting stories, and I call this one Mother Trucker, came out from a conversation. Turns out that one of the truckers used to spend a lot of time talking to his mom on the phone when he was out on the road. And his mom had passed away recently. And so somebody told him to start talking to generative AI, right? The talk or the voice function, so you can interact with it without having to text or do the dictation. And this trucker, he spent a lot of time talking about his mom. He spent a lot of time uploading pictures of his mom. He spent some time uploading videos with the audio of his mom. And he decided to call his AI agent or his AI assistant, Mother Trucker. And it basically imitated and mimicked the things that his mom would say or his mom would do. And it turns out that he spends at least an hour at minimum each day on the road talking to his Mother Trucker. The CEO of that company was blown away. And then when that story came out, a lot of other truckers started talking about how they are having voice conversations with their generative AI tools and how they're using it to maximize their routes, how they're using it to find things along the way, how they're using it to do a lot of things that weren't able to be done before very easily when they're on the road. So I love seeing how all of these light bulbs come on for these CEOs. I love sharing stories or learning about the stories within these companies and how this stuff comes to light. So I've learned a lot. I put it into a book. This is the first of many books that we've got coming out. This one is really designed for the CEO. And in fact, one of the chapters, I believe chapter 8, is really there to help make sure CEOs know that right now there is a very big risk reward ratio that nobody in the company other than the CEO can really manage and handle. And what I mean by this is introducing AI is risky. It's very risky. There is a lot of unknown. There is a lot of risk involved. And I've done workshops to leadership groups that are not CEOs, so think CXOs or senior managers. And when I talk about the risk reward ratio, you would think that somebody had the loudest fart in church, that they don't know how to compute the idea of managing risk because they don't have that authority. And so one of the big concepts in the book is about the fact that the CEO really needs to lead the AI initiative. Doesn't mean that you need to become a master prompter as a CEO. It doesn't matter that you, are well versed or know all the tools. But as a CEO, you need to set the tone, help build that roadmap, and give the freedom and authority to the employees to go and test this stuff out, to try new things, to really invent a lot of different areas here. So we're getting a couple of comments and questions in here, which I love to see. Once again, if you want to buy the book, it's on Amazon right now, either in paperback or Kindle. It's about 70% off, so $6.99 for the paperback and $4.99 for the Kindle, or free if you already have a Kindle membership. We do have an audiobook coming out soon. I believe September is when we're going to have that come out. And let's see, it's another question. Somebody said, Brett is 100% BS. So yes, you do know me well. Another, comment here is, what's the top advice for a manufacturer? And I think that's a great question because there's a lot of manufacturing companies that I work with. And I think the top advice for a manufacturer is the same for anyone, which is number one, set the tone. Know how much or how little AI you're going to be using to really optimize and scale your business. We've seen fun things, or I've helped really implement some fun things within manufacturing There was a company where we actually had video recordings of the manufacturing floor, and we leveraged AI and uploaded the video, and we had it analyze the different optimization opportunities that were there. There's a lot of third-party tools that are manufacturing optimization that are starting to use this capability as well. But the biggest thing that, whether it's manufacturing or anyone, and my advice does not change based on industry or function, is find the people within your company that are really nerdy and energetic and energized by AI and how to use AI, and then give them some freedom, give them the guardrails. Don't be the gatekeeper. Don't try to control it, but be their coach, be their guide. And so I've seen a lot of cool things. I'll tell you one of the coolest things in manufacturing. Um, I went to this company that does these very high-end faucets for bathrooms and for kitchens, as well as the hardware for doors, for cabinets, and for refrigerators and things like that. So everything matches nicely. And we talked a lot about the product development process. And these products were unbelievably beautiful, incredibly premium type of systems and tools. And one of the things that we found was that the hopes and the dreams of the CEO was he wanted to do collaborations because these are very expensive faucets. They go in very expensive homes, and people who have very expensive homes tend to have very expensive cars. And so he wanted to show that he could do some kind of collaboration. So with Ferrari, with Porsche, with McLaren, with Mercedes. And so we started taking all of his designs. We basically just pointed generative AI to his website. And we said, show us some examples of what it would look like if you did a collaboration with your company and Ferrari. And my God, it was the most gorgeous looking faucet you could ever see. Now, the product manager of this manufacturing company was very standoffish and very, oh, we'll never be able to do that, or we'll never get this approved. But the CEO, he just looked at this and stared at this for a long time. And he said, wow, okay, I have a new North Star. Now I know what to do to get onto the radar of Ferrari, of Porsche, of Mercedes, of McLaren. And it was just the coolest light bulb moment. But again, it took the CEO to not be afraid, to be willing to take the risk, and it has that vision. So I think there's some really good ideas there as well. So we're getting towards the end of our session. Once again, and I'm a broken record here, but the book is 70% off today. It is a passion of mine. Send me a text or send me a note, either in LinkedIn or on YouTube or anything. And if you want a book for you or for your team, I will get you some signed copies of it as well. I'd be happy to. In fact, one of the things I committed to was the first 25 people that attend this event get the book, an autographed copy sent to you at no charge. And so again, if that's something that you want, I've got your information here, and I appreciate you being a part of this. But I definitely want to get the story out. I want to get the book out because I believe that probably for the next 18 to 24 months, people need a roadmap. And what they also need, and I'm going to just share with you here, because this is sort of, I'll go through, one of the chapters is, so chapter 1, which is, why we fear AI. And, by the way, that's what I spend a lot of my time doing, is talking about the fear of AI and how that really drives all of us. Now, by the way, fun fact, did you know that the first time humans were ever introduced to the concept of AI was in a German silent film from 1927 called Metropolis? 1927. So what does that mean? That means that we have learned how to fear AI for nearly 100 years. Don't even start talking about the Terminator or the Matrix or all of these AI movies. I think there's been about 170 movies that have AI as a central theme, including one of my favorites, War Games. But my goal here is that each chapter, again, we're not talking about a very long book. I think it's about 130 pages, and it's a, pretty small size. Here we go, right here. But Did you know that, what CEOs are looking for is a checklist, just a checklist, just something that, you know, gives them, these are the steps I need to take. And so my book, AI Without the BS, the CEO's Playbook for actually getting AI right, has a checklist in every one of the chapters. And I believe that that's a powerful way to turn this not just into some book that goes on the shelf, but something that becomes an actual playbook, which is why I call it a playbook. So, as we're wrapping up today, first of all, thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. If I've interacted with you and on this journey of getting to this book, my first book, I can actually use the term author, which is very cool. Personally, I remember having a conversation with my dad, and I asked him what, what's something he would really like to accomplish in life. And he said, I'd love to write a book one day. And that was probably 40, 30 years ago. And that stuck with me. And so it took me a minute. But the good news is that I finally got my act together and got a book written here. So very excited about that. But hopefully you enjoy the book. Hopefully you buy the book. Again, 70% off. But for some fun and interesting and entertaining, stuff, one of the things I've decided to do is I love to tell stories about all of the BS that I see out there. And part of the BS that I see out there is quite honestly just people in denial about AI, and fun stories that I get to share and tell in a 5 or 7 minute YouTube video, but I call it calling BS. And man, it is a lot of fun to go out there and basically call BS. So if you like to watch YouTube, if you like to enjoy it, if you're looking for something fast or fun or funny, again, it's on YouTube right now. I'll probably add it as an actual podcast that will be on Spotify or on Apple Podcast or wherever you get your podcasts. I'd love to hear. I'd love to know if you actually want to see that as an audio podcast. But for now, it's a YouTube channel. And here's a channel right here, youtube.com/at AI First Leadership. My company is AI First Leadership. The consulting we do, the coaching we do, the workshops we lead is all a part of AI First Leadership. But this topic, this channel on YouTube, um, calling BS, again, calling Brett Schklar, calling BS, is a fun way to really share some of these stories and have some entertainment with all of this. So that's about it. Looking at some of the questions we've got in here, a lot of positive sentiment. So thank you very much. Some people said that they love Metropolis. I'm so excited to hear that and so surprised. Again, feel free to pick up the book or just reach out to me and let's have a conversation. And if I like you and I like the conversation, I'll send you a signed, autographed copy of the book in the mail and be happy to have a chat with you. On that note, just want to say thank you to everyone. I really appreciate everybody's support. It's been a ton of fun. And I wish you the best of success in your AI journey, no matter if you are top of the AI food chain and really building some great AI innovation, or you're here with me in the back of the caboose of the train trying to pull people onto the AI train before things get out of control. Kind of Snowpiercer style, if anybody has seen that TV show or movie. But yeah, that's about it. Look, thank you so much for being here. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and let's all have some fun.